Welcome. This is Leanne Scott from the Profitable Podcast. And with me today, I have the wonderful Francis Rodino. Francis is from Lead Hero, and we are both speaking at the upcoming Ultimate SaaS Conference, Ultimate SaaS Summit. And we're talking all things GHL, go high level for those who don't know the lingo. Now, Francis, you are a fascinating person to talk to, and I can't wait for our conversation
Why,
today.
thank you. That's a nice to start the podcast with a compliment. Like flattery will get you everywhere.
Well, I
No
know
wonder
the
your
way.
business is skyrocketing.
So, Francis, let's start off with tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got to where you are today.
How I got to where we are. Well, we are my primary business is Lead Hero AI, and we were one of the first businesses in the UK. Yes, we are UK based in London. Despite my accent, I'm a naturalized Brit for 25 plus years. I'm not that old. This is fake gray hair here. But we were really one of the first to bring high level to the agency world out here and serve local businesses back in 2018, where there was no SaaS. SaaS wasn't a thing. You couldn't rebuild. You couldn't automate all this client acquisition. It was just like a great tool. And it was like your best kept secret in the agency worlds. And actually, it was at a time where you had a lot of love and direct access to Sean and Paulson and the team. Now they've grown. The secret is out. Everybody's using it. And so businesses like we transition. It's no longer a best kept secret. Actually, we are helping other businesses and even agencies and consultants and even competitors, right, to help grow their businesses, to help bring high level functionality, automation. Because at the end of the day, we were just chatting before the call. High level is just a tool in your arsenal, in your toolkit. It's a hammer, right? It's a bloody good hammer, but you need to know your craft, right? And your craft is going to be different according to who your clients are, how you serve them, what your unique system is, your method for delivering results. So I love the community. I've developed friendships and business partners in the community. And we know high level really, really well. And I'm super excited to be part of the upcoming event in end of May.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's for me is what I love about high level most is that it's such a good tool for us as agency owners who've been at it for a long time. We can really package up our knowledge in a way that is repeatable. We were talking about your book, your upcoming book, and you were saying about you hope people will use it. And the thing about marketing strategy that I've learned over the years is you can give somebody a Ferrari strategy, but unless they know how to actually implement it and start to follow the steps, it's completely pointless. Where what high level does is it kind of makes that plug and play. So we can implement that strategy using our knowledge and our nuances that we've learned. And it's almost impossible to mess it up. That for me is what I love about how we've been able to package up what's in the box. So tell us a bit more about how you have used high level for Lead Hero. How do you package it up for clients?
Yeah. Well, actually, we are in the process of productizing, our system so that it is more of a machine or a factory line. Because now, with our proprietary 3S formula, the strategy, system, scale, that's really what the book is going to be about. Through the years, we've basically refined our method that we've been employing to help businesses to not only generate more leads, qualify more customers, and grow their business, but use AI and automation and paid ads to dominate their market, become first choice in their market. That's even the name of the temporary name, or the provisional name of the book is First Choice, because essentially when you follow this blueprint that we've been honing in and refining over years, actually that's how you do it. Great strategy, know your market, great message, offer, marketing automation plan, a system that will capture, cultivate, and convert leads into sales and clients. And then you amplify that, put fuel to the fire with advertising methods. You reach more people, resell to those people, and refine the system again and again. And well, that's what we kind of realized that we were doing unconsciously. So obviously, when you start your business, I've been in marketing for 25 plus years, big brands, BBC, Omnicom Media Group. So I come from like that world. But when I started my business, I really wanted to work directly with the business owner. They can make faster decisions. They're more agile, less red tape, smaller sales cycles, and you can make, I wanted to make a bigger impact, and that's actually what we've been doing. So we work with small to medium businesses now and implementing solutions with high level at the core. But what I want to stress is how, like, high level itself isn't a system. High level is not a strategy. And high level is certainly not a service. And I've seen businesses really sink and fail with high level as well, where they think, oh, I'll get high level. I've heard of high level, and this so and so is doing that, and that business is using high level. And to be honest, most businesses don't know what to do with it. Some businesses are using it on a very, very basic level. But really, the magic is when you have something special, you have a service, a proprietary, unique service that you can really bolt on top of high level and use high level as your mechanism to deliver that transformation, those transformational
What I loved
results.
about what you were saying to me earlier around the perfect strategy session, which you were saying is going to be what your high level talk is about. You were talking about how you can position yourself as an authority, and so that people don't take the piss with you. Now, I think that's kind of where we cross over quite nicely, in that I'm also about helping people set themselves up as authorities. But tell me a bit more about the pitfalls of strategy sessions, because I have had my fair share of strategy sessions where people literally take advantage of my good nature. So tell me a bit more about your process.
Well, I fundamentally believe that people should get, agencies, consultants should get paid for their strategy sessions. So here's the thing, is that the most valuable asset that we have as consultants have is our knowledge, our skills, and our experience. And when we give
Yep.
that away on a strategy session, actually what we're doing is we're devaluing what we bring. And there's a delicate balance to be played between giving away too much and not giving, right? And selling. And that's, either
Yeah.
one is not good, right? So I'm going to really talk about, we do a lot of strategy sessions because, to your question earlier about how we use high level, is we do a lot of custom builds, custom funnels, workflows, copywriting, user
Yeah.
journeys, and we haven't yet really found a cookie cutter, one size fits all. Here's high level here, because of the amount, because every business is different. Sales process can be different. The knowledge of your team can be different. So it's very customized, and we need to have these conversations and almost really be a doctor and diagnose what's going on in that business. And unless you ask the right questions, you're not going to get
Yeah.
the information that you need to actually uncover the value that you bring and propose a solution to that problem, right? So this is, in the strategy sessions that I see, you get bad positioning if you give too much. When there's no skin in the game for the customer, there's no game.
Yeah.
You can come across as desperate, buy with me.
Yeah.
And also, lots of times, and I hold my hand up, I've done this way too much, is you solve the problem on the call. And then they go, oh, thanks, that was a really great strategy session. I got a lot of value from that. Thank you so much. That's awesome. You're the best. And you'll never hear from them again.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah, you're nodding your head. Yeah. So here's the thing is that I've put together a topic that if you do strategy sessions, you're gonna love. It's gonna reinforce it. You're gonna take this home. I'm gonna give you the template that we use that I've collated over the years from different mentors, and I've put it in a psychologically nuclear format that you can actually read through that goes through the right questions you need to ask. And then I'm also going to share my custom chat GPT sales call summarizer where you can just record that call on Fathom or Zoom, stick the transcript in there, and it's going to generate a beautifully formatted kind of post
Amazing.
call review notes with actions, and it's going to highlight their pain points and their challenges, because when you're doing a proposal, so many people, they're just overthinking about themselves, like what they want to sell and their
Yeah.
problems, and they forget
Yeah.
actually to really speak within the language of their customer and call them out. Like, you said, not me, you said that XYZ were your problems in the business, and that you were
Yeah.
suffering because of this, and it was costing you that. But unless you get those
Hmm.
data points, it's so easy to just go through a discovery or a strategy session
Yeah.
and not get those data points because we overtalk. So you're laughing, you're going, I've heard that before. That's me. We've all been there.
I've
We've
heard
all
that.
been there. So, yes, I'm going to cover the perfect strategy session, how to do it, how to position yourself as an authority, and to get out of there with actually not giving too much, and to the point where actually
Mhm.
you can even get paid for it. There you go. And at least it's not time wasted and they value you for what you bring.
Absolutely. I love that. And of course, obviously, anyone who would like to hear the detail around that should be joining us at the Ultimate SaaS Summit at the end of May. Now, the interesting thing that I've learned over the last few years is how that positioning, and it really ties in with what you're saying, is how positioning and pricing are such a mindset thing. And so, like, if you start thinking about how you want to, how you're going to grow this business to success, I mean, we can all have the same information, but not everybody can actually make a success of it. And we spoke very briefly around identity transformation. And I've done a lot of internal work for myself, but also a lot of research into how who you become actually determines your success. But I'd love to hear a bit more about your thoughts on identity transformation.
Wow. It's a very big topic.
Yeah.
It's deep. It's I think identity transformation is very much every individual's hero's journey. It's their story. If you know the classic hero's journey from the Greek, Odyssey, Star
Yeah.
Wars, Flash Gordon, Indiana
Karate
Jones,
Kid.
every hero kind of has this, they're lost, then they get a call to adventure, and then they have a guide who helps take them to a new unknown world where they explore. Then they face Darth Vader, and then they come out of it the other side greater than they could have ever imagined, right? Or, they have another dip and they overcome. And I think identity entrepreneurship is very much like that. Identity transformation for me is just the phenomenon of becoming a different person,
Yeah.
unlocking your mind to believe and think new thoughts.
Yeah.
And frequently, especially in entrepreneurship, when we all started, I pretty much guarantee you even the best that we look up to today, when they first started their businesses, they didn't have a clue what they were doing. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Like I had, 20 plus years in corporate, which I assumed I could use. I wasn't dumb. I had skills, but
Yeah.
I didn't even know what I didn't know about marketing and sales, um, about belief, about perseverance, about failure, my whole approach to failure. I remember, and I had to do a lot of work, not only training and spending tens and tens and tens and thousands of pounds on mentoring and coaching and training to figure it out, right? But all, therapy as well,
Yeah.
because you almost, that's the skill, is at looking at your life as a route, or maybe like a staircase.
Mm.
And then every time, once in a while, whether it's with yourself or in your business, that you get up, you get onto the next step. But then what happens is you find there's another block there. There's like something, it could be your relationship with your mother. Something happened that when you were a child that just gave you this idea that isn't necessarily true. And you've based your whole reality on that belief. And that's kind of stopping you from breaking through a certain threshold.
Mm.
Belief in yourself, a revenue in your business, leaving a
Yeah.
toxic relationship, whatever that might be. And so I think, it's a fascinating topic, and I love to hear other people's stories because they're all in there. It's like, if you have climbed Mount Everest, you've got a story.
Yeah.
You have got a story. If you run a business and you've been in business 5 to 10 years, you have a story.
You have a lot of
Because
stories.
you do. You have a story that could really help other people
Mm.
as well. So I kind of feel like the identity transformation and the personal growth is very much a part of our marketing strategy, because whether you're growing a business, always need to grow yourself and what you think about your business. The two and
Yeah.
two go together. That's why also in my book, there's a huge section just on the mindset,
Yeah.
because we get, a lot of people knock on our door and they are not ready for a business transformation, right?
Mm.
They don't, many of them believe that it's going to be hard work, or it may not be worth it, or it's going to be way too expensive, or because they failed in the past, it's going to fail again, right? If you always
Yeah.
believed that the past defined the future, you wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what, you want to stop smoking? Oh, no, I'm not giving up smoking because I failed in the past. Well, fine.
Mm.
Then you're not going to stop smoking,
Yeah.
ever. Don't give
Yeah.
up giving up, right? And that's kind of entrepreneurship, is that you can't give up. You have to go forward. You have no choice, or you might as well just close.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, so that's kind of what I'm all about, and it ties into how we help businesses grow and scale online as well.
Amazing, amazing. So I'm also part of Dan Martell's coaching group, and he talks a lot about um who do you need to become successful, to if he always says, if he gave us $10 million and put it in our account, who do we need to become to manage that well, versus if he just gave it to us, would we be able to manage it? So I think that is such an important thing for people to understand, especially business owners, to understand the impact of what you think, what you believe, who you are, what that impact has on the success of your business. And I think, although we have high level in common, the way we've used that and the way we see it transform clients' lives is really important, because it does come down to what do they believe is possible.
That's very
So
true.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen clients who are happy with, who think that they can only achieve £20,000 a year, Whereas actually, when I look at their business, I'm like, why are you not going for 100,000 or 200,000 or 2 million? And it comes down to their belief systems.
Belief, and then there's also your own personal goals.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like those revenue, each revenue level comes with a different set of skills and responsibilities, and where you are in your life and the time you have to create it. Like time is also a factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because these skills that we talk about don't happen overnight. They really
No.
don't. Our mentors and our idols have all been grinding it for decades for the most
Yeah.
part, right? And even if they're young, like they started when they're 20 and they're 40 now, but it's been 20 years of really just
Yep.
getting punched in the face, right? And this is the thing is
Yeah.
I now know that getting punched in the face, I know and I appreciate it, that business you're not in business if you're not getting punched in the face. If you haven't been screwed by someone that you trusted as that let you down, you haven't been in business,
Yeah.
right? The first time I had a really good trusted partner just screw me outright and steal my clients, I was gutted.
Really?
I was ruminating and couldn't sleep for months. Is
Yeah.
it really hurt me? Like I took it personally. Now, I don't take it personally at all. It's like, you know what? You're going to have good partners and bad partners. The really important thing, I call it learn and move on. Learn and
Yeah.
move on. Boom, you get punched in the face, learn and move on. What have I learned? Right? Fix the contract, hire
Mm.
better. Did I delegate right? What can I learn about this relationship so I can safeguard my IP, safeguard my family, all of those things. Those businesses of a much higher level, they most likely have gone through that and know that and have the systems and teams already to basically put that in place. But still, Tony Robbins got screwed. He tells the story about getting screwed by one of his business partners, the directors in the company, and I don't know, he ran away with millions, right? And he
Yeah.
had to start from scratch again, and it happens.
Yeah.
So it's a game, I guess, for the most part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely a game. And I think for me, I've found that people have become much more open and transparent with discussing failures. It's become much more acceptable. And I think it took me many years to realize that failure is part of the process. As long as you're failing up, and that you're learning the lessons like you just said, you can move forward, and that doesn't dictate what your future will be as long as you keep moving forward. So I love that, because I think especially new entrepreneurs need to learn that it doesn't matter if you got it wrong. It's how you get up, pick yourself up, and move forward.
They'll learn when they get punched in the face. Like there's also an element is like if you're raising kids, you
Yeah.
can tell them a million times not to touch the hot stove, right? How are they going to
Mhm.
really learn?
When they touch the hot stove. Absolutely, absolutely. So, what does the next 12 months look like for you then? Because I mean, you've got your book coming out. You are pivoting Lead Hero a little bit to be more productized. I hear a rumor you might have a podcast coming out. So, tell us a bit more about your plans over the next 12 months.
Well, I'm excited. Like the number one thing I want to do, or my plan is to really embody every day with joy and positivity. That's my
Okay.
number one thing, more than growing the business, because uh, keeping my energy levels up and being happy
Mm-hmm.
is priority number one. We just got a little girl come our way 7 months ago, so
Oh,
that's really
lovely.
given me, I'm an older-ish dad. So that's actually given me a new perspective,
Mm,
because it isn't all about me, and it's not all about the money and growing the business. And
yeah,
I want the next couple of decades to be really fun, and
yeah,
I want to work with fun clients and that appreciate that and also want that. Obviously, business is serious for the most part, but at the end of the day, you want, who you spend your time with is really important. And so, writing my book, systematizing Lead Hero, actually, we've developed, the system, the 3S formula that we talk
Yeah.
about is essentially the productized model, strategy, system, scale, where
Brilliant.
we come into your business, we apply that method to develop your market research, your messaging and offer, and your whole marketing automation plan. Put a system underneath it using AI and automation and chatbots to have conversations with the leads and qualify and book appointments, and then scale that using ads and put in place these predictable selling systems that they actually turn your business into a money-making machine. So
Awesome.
that's the method, and we're really going to be just installing that into the right businesses that it's a right fit for throughout the year, and growing together. So I'm super excited for the next 12 months.
Amazing. I'm really, really looking forward to watching your journey.
Thank you,
And
Leanne.
most importantly, I can't wait to meet you in Birmingham on the 24th of May. I hear that there are still some tickets available, so if anyone is interested in joining us in Birmingham, both Francis and myself will be doing a talk. And there are 10 other speakers. We also have a mastermind day on day 2. So the link is below. Feel free to book your tickets. We can't wait to see you. And Francis, it has been amazing to chat to you. I am looking forward to being able to meet you in person and give you a great big hug at the end of the month. But thank you so much for joining me. I've really appreciated our conversation.
Thank you, Leanne. I'll be seeing you soon.
Absolutely. That's Leanne Scott from the Profitable Podcast, joined by Francis Rodino from